Okay, the news for the Detroit Lions honestly does just keep getting better and better. And the further we look into these players, the further we look into these draft picks, the more excited I become. And for this one, it involves our new backup quarterback, probably, Hendon Hooker. And I started doing some more digging because I thought to myself, I know everything there is to know about Hendon Hooker because I watched a lot of Tennessee football this year. So I got to watch it and it's in this gimmicky offense and it's all this kind of stuff. I found out some really unique things about Hendon Hooker, and I'm going to tell you about them in a little bit. But first, let's get to the headline of the news that I thought was really interesting. And it said this: Will Levis being drafted ahead of Hendon Hooker was shocking, an SEC coach says. He goes on to say in that article, it's an anonymous source, and it's one of those things where they're just talking about how the ceiling for Hendon Hooker is so much higher than the one for Will Levis. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, all right, that's just the opinion of someone. So now I'm going to start doing some research because I personally kind of liked Will Levis. I thought he was good. And if you asked me, who would you take first in the draft? I probably would have taken Levis before I took Hooker. It was not that far apart, but yeah, I think I would have. So I'm like, because remember, Levis last year was rough. He was a little injured. He had a bad team. He had a new offensive coordinator, but the year before that was really, really good. And Hendon Hooker comes from kind of this gimmicky offense. So I went and did a little more research, and now I'm going to tell you why Hendon Hooker is an even better pickup. And it's amazing that we were able to get him so late in the third round, early in the third round, but so late in the draft for a quarterback of this quality. And when you look at quarterbacks in the NFL draft, they usually either go in the first round or they go fourth round or later. Second and third round are kind of like a ghost town for quarterbacks in the past because either you have a quarterback who you think can change your franchise, the direction of your franchise, so you take a first round pick on him. Or you draft a quarterback that you believe is going to be a career backup and you wait until the fourth, fifth, sixth round. There were a ton of quarterbacks selected in this draft, so we could have gone with a lot of them, but I think we got the guy drafted the latest that has the highest upside. If you understand the combination of that, for where he was drafted, has by far the highest upside. By the time we're all said and done, we could be saying Hendon Hooker should easily have been drafted before that. A couple of things you may not have known. Hendon Hooker played for Virginia Tech for 3 years before coming to Tennessee. They used him almost as a primarily like dual threat quarterback. And his first year of getting some regular starts, he went 7-2. He was 7-2. And he had some good victories in there. And he had a team that had some high-powered offensive stats. They ended up losing that year to Kentucky in the bowl game. But here's what I find just absolutely fascinating about Hendon Hooker is we all think, oh, the high completion percentage, the touchdown to interception ratio, all of that kind of stuff. We just think to ourselves, that's a product of the Tennessee offense. Well, yeah, he did have, 68 and a 69% completion percentage at Tennessee, but the year before that at Va Tech had a 65% completion percentage. Over the 2 years at Va Tech that he was their main starter, he was 22 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. Still not bad. In fact, that 2019 year, he was 13 touchdowns to 2 interceptions, but they didn't unleash him. They ran him a ton. All right. In fact, in 2019, he had 162 pass attempts with 123 rush attempts. Then in 2020, it was 150 pass attempts with 120 rush attempts. They were running the ball with him almost as much as they were throwing the ball with him. Okay. It was 2-1 in Tennessee in 2021 and then over 3-1 last year. He did run the ball a lot and he has it. And when you look at at Va Tech, man, it's a violent running too. Like it's actually the way he's cutting and planning. It's really, really impressive. But I think the thing that is a telling sign to me about Hendon Hooker is this. Look at the program he played for. And you got to give the coach a lot of credit here too. But Tennessee is one of those programs. I've always liked Tennessee. It's one of those programs that falsely believes they can win a national championship every year. Like they have the talent to do it. And then every year they get beat up by the SEC. Okay, so since Peyton Manning left, I mean, okay, they were pretty good in the 2000s. Their last really good season was 07, where they were 10-4. I'm going to read you the amount of wins they had until Hendon Hooker came around. It's 5, 7, 6, 5, 5, 5, 7, 9 and 9, and 15 and 16, 4, 5, 8, 3. Then they lose the first game under Josh Heupel. Hendon Hooker wasn't even the starter. They put him in for Milton. He ends up going 7-5 the rest of the year. And then this year, 11-2. A team that perpetually wins 5, 6, or 7 games. Hendon Hooker comes in, and they don't win 9 games. They don't win 10 games. They win 11 games. If he is injured, I mean, they go toe-to-toe and beat Alabama in that. They go toe-to-toe and they beat Alabama. I just want you to think about that for a second. Like, it was really, really impressive what he did for this team. So not only is he a quarterback that has good accuracy, not only is he a dual threat quarterback, but he is a winning quarterback. Like, this is a good thing, isn't it? This is a good thing. They lost to number 1 Georgia, and they lost to South Carolina. That was a weird game. They still scored a lot of points in that one, but they lost to South Carolina. It is absolutely amazing to me. But they beat Pitt. They beat Florida. They throttled LSU. They beat Alabama in a shootout. They throttled Kentucky, throttled Missouri. Vanderbilt doesn't really count. And then they beat Clemson even without him, okay, in the bowl game. Like, this is a team that changed because of who their quarterback was, and that quarterback is now coming to the Detroit Lions. And I don't want to hear a lot more about the I'm 25 years old thing with him. Like, I understand he's 25 years old. I understand that he's older. I understand it's going to take a year or two. And you're like, man, the guy's going to be 27 by the time he could even start for us. The problem isn't how old a quarterback is. Good quarterbacks can play till they're 36 to 40 years old. That's not the problem. You can get over a decade from this guy. The problem is when you have to pay quarterbacks large amounts of money. That's the problem. So it doesn't matter if he's 25 right now or if he was 21, because if he was 21, by the time he was 25, you'd be paying him a crap ton of money. So the whole point is that you can get 4 to 5 years on a reasonable price tag with a player before you have to start paying them. That's the whole point behind Hooker. And you want a competent backup for when your quarterback goes down. And I think Hooker, maybe not this year, but definitely next year, the year after, will be absolutely that for this team, hopefully at the bare minimum. So the news just keeps getting better for the Detroit Lions. And when we're reading news, it just keeps getting better. What do you think? Are you still liking this pick as much as you did the night of the draft? More, less? Leave your comments below and hit that subscribe button while you're at it.